The old wooden door of Rowan's tavern creaked as the evening wind pushed against it. Normally, Rowan liked that sound. It meant customers were coming in for dinner, drinks, or warmth. But tonight, when the door slowly opened, the sound felt heavier somehow, like something tired was leaning on it. Rowan looked up from the counter, expecting a worker from the nearby farms or a traveler escaping the cold. What he saw instead made him freeze. An alien, thin, frail, and trembling, stood just inside the doorway. Its skin was pale silver, cracked like dry earth. Its clothes were worn and dusty. The creature looked around with confused eyes, as if unsure if it should stay or run away. Rowan had seen aliens before. Trade ships stopped in town sometimes. But he had never seen one this weak, this lost, or this scared. Everyone else in the tavern went silent. A few men near the fireplace lowered their voices. 2 women at a corner table stared with clear fear. No one moved to help. No one even said hello. Rowan felt something twist in his chest. The alien took one shaky step forward, then another. Its long fingers gripped a bag that looked almost empty. It reached the nearest table, then stopped, breathing hard like every step was painful. People watched it with suspicion, whispering among themselves. Rowan wiped his hands on his apron and walked out from behind the counter. "Welcome," he said gently. The alien lifted its head a little, surprised. Its voice came out rough and quiet, as if every word scraped its throat. Is food sold here?" "Yes," Rowan said. "You can sit anywhere you like." The alien looked around. For a moment it hesitated, but then chose a small table near the wall. Each movement was slow, careful. Rowan noticed the alien was trying hard not to disturb anyone, trying to make itself small. Rowan walked over with the menu, but the alien looked away shyly. I do not have enough credits," it whispered. "Maybe only a small drink. Water is fine." Rowan paused. The alien was starving. He could see it clearly now, sunken cheeks, shaking hands, dull eyes. He had seen hungry humans before, but this was different. This creature looked like it had been walking for days without rest. "How about some hot stew?" Rowan asked softly. "On the house." The alien blinked, confused. "For free?" "For free," Rowan said with a small smile. The alien's eyes softened with something like relief. It nodded slowly. Rowan hurried to the kitchen and filled a large bowl of meat and vegetable stew. He placed warm bread on the side. When he returned to the table, the alien looked at the food as if it could not believe it was real. "Eat," Rowan encouraged. The alien lifted the spoon with shaking fingers and took a small bite. Its eyes closed immediately. A faint sound escaped its throat, a sound of pure gratitude. Then it began to eat faster, almost desperately, but still careful not to spill anything. Rowan stood nearby, pretending to clean a table so he could keep an eye on the creature. The other customers kept whispering. Some looked annoyed. Others looked worried. No one dared to come close. After a few minutes, the alien finally slowed down, breathing deeply. It looked stronger already, though still sad and tired. "Thank you," it said. "I have traveled long. Many days. Many nights. No one would give me food." Rowan sat across from it. "Where are you coming from?" The alien hesitated, looking down at the table. "From the city," it said quietly. "But I no longer belong there." Rowan waited, giving the alien time. "I am old," the alien continued. "My people say the old ones should return home for rest. But I have no home now. No family. So I walked. I followed the road. I hoped someone would help me. But most humans feared me. And some aliens feared me too." There was no bitterness in its voice, only sadness. "What's your name?" Rowan asked. The alien touched its chest gently. "I am Neriel." Rowan nodded. "I'm Rowan. This place is my tavern. You're welcome here." Neriel's thin lips formed a small, grateful smile. As the night went on, Rowan gave Neriel a second bowl of stew and more water. The alien ate slowly this time, savoring every bite. It looked around the tavern in wonder, admiring the lantern light, the wooden beams, the warm fire. To Neriel, this simple place must have felt like a safe haven. Customers came and went, still watching from a distance. But Neriel stayed quiet, peaceful, and respectful. When the tavern finally grew empty, Neriel stood to leave. Rowan stepped forward. "Where will you go?" "I do not know," Neriel admitted. "Somewhere quiet. I will sleep by the trees tonight." Rowan shook his head. "It's too cold. You can rest in the small storage room behind the kitchen. It's warm there." Neriel stared at him, shocked. For a moment, the alien's eyes filled with emotion. "You are kind," it whispered. "More kind than I deserve." Rowan smiled. "Everyone deserves kindness." Neriel bowed deeply, trembling. It was the first time that night the alien looked truly alive. And that was the day the week-old alien first entered Rowan's tavern, hungry, lost, and alone. Rowan didn't know it yet, but that simple act of feeding a stranger would soon change his quiet life forever. Because someone somewhere was already searching for Neriel, and they were getting closer. Rowan arrived early at his tavern the next morning, long before the sun rose. The air outside was cold, and a pale mist lay across the ground. He unlocked the back door quietly, trying not to wake Neriel, who was resting in the small storage room. Rowan still wasn't sure if he had done the right thing. Letting an alien stay overnight could cause trouble. People in town were not used to such kindness toward strangers, especially alien ones. But something inside Rowan told him it was the right decision. He walked into the kitchen, lit the stove, and started preparing breakfast. As the warm smell of bread and soup filled the air, he heard soft footsteps from the storage room. Neriel appeared in the doorway, looking nervous, but stronger than the night before. "I am sorry," Neriel said politely. "I did not wish to disturb you." "You're not disturbing anything," Rowan said with a smile. "Did you sleep well?" "Yes," Neriel replied. "It was warm. Thank you again." "Truly." Rowan nodded. "Sit. I'll get you something to eat." Neriel hesitated. "I have no credits. I cannot pay." "I didn't ask for payment," Rowan said simply. "Just sit." The alien obeyed, sitting carefully at a small table. Rowan placed a bowl of hot porridge, honey, and bread in front of him. Neriel stared at it with wide, almost emotional eyes. When he took his first bite, his shoulders relaxed, and a soft breath escaped him, as though the food was life itself. Rowan watched quietly. There was something about Neriel that stirred a deep old memory inside him. A long time ago, Rowan himself had once been hungry, lost, and ignored by the world. He remembered being a child, standing in the rain outside a bakery. He had no money. He had nothing. People walked past him, without stopping. Except one old woman. She had given him bread. Warm bread he could never forget. That simple kindness had changed his life. And maybe, just maybe, he could now be that kindness for someone else. Later in the morning, the first customers began to arrive. Farmers, merchants, travelers, ordinary people who came for breakfast before starting their day. As soon as they noticed Neriel sitting quietly near the corner, they exchanged suspicious looks. "Is that alien still here?" one whispered. "Why didn't Rowan send it away?" another muttered. Rowan heard them, but he kept working without responding. He knew how people were. They feared anything unfamiliar. It wasn't malice, just caution. But Rowan also knew something else. Fear should not erase kindness. Neriel sat with his back straight, and his hands folded neatly. He did not eat loudly. He did not raise his voice. He barely even moved. But still, the customers kept staring. A few bold ones approached Rowan. "Why'd you let that thing stay?" a man asked in a low voice. "What if it causes trouble?" Rowan wiped his hands on a cloth. "He's not causing trouble. He's just hungry." "That's not your problem," the man snapped. Rowan looked at him calmly. "Maybe it is." The man had no answer to that. He simply grumbled and went back to his seat. But Neriel had heard everything. He lowered his head, ashamed. When Rowan returned to the kitchen, the alien softly whispered, "This is wrong. I should leave. The others do not want me here." Rowan sat beside him. "You didn't do anything wrong." "They fear me," Neriel whispered. "That's their weakness, not yours," Rowan replied. And fear goes away slowly when people are shown kindness. Neriel looked confused. Why are you being kind to me? Rowan leaned back, thinking. Because once someone was kind to me, and it changed everything. Neriel lowered his eyes again. Your kindness is more than I deserve. Rowan frowned. Everyone deserves kindness. Even you. The alien looked up with a spark of emotion, as if no one had ever said such words to him before. As the day continued, Neriel stayed quietly in the corner, helping Rowan whenever he could. He was slow but gentle, carrying dishes carefully, wiping tables with respect, and bowing his head whenever a customer passed. Rowan noticed he never complained, never took more than he needed. Even the regular customers slowly began to relax. Seeing the alien work and behave politely made their fear shrink little by little. But one person did not seem convinced. A young patrol guard entered the tavern, his eyes locked on Neriel with hard suspicion. He walked straight to Rowan. Why is that alien here? He demanded. Rowan kept his voice calm. He's eating. Helping out a little. He from the city? The guard asked sharply. Neriel tensed. Rowan didn't answer. Is there a problem? The guard stared at Neriel for a long moment, then finally shook his head. Just be careful. Strange things have been happening in the area. I'll keep that in mind, Rowan said. The guard left, but his presence left a cold feeling behind. Neriel swallowed. They're looking for me, he whispered. Rowan looked at him carefully. Why? What happened in the city? Neriel looked down at his hands, shaking slightly. I cannot say yet. It is dangerous. Rowan didn't push. Then rest. When you're ready, you can tell me. Neriel nodded gratefully. For now, Rowan didn't need the truth. He only needed to follow his heart. He had once been saved by kindness. Now it was his turn to pass that kindness to someone else, no matter what secrets followed the old alien into his tavern. What Rowan didn't know was this. The people searching for Neriel were already moving. And soon, they would arrive in his quiet town. The next few days passed quietly, but a silent tension followed Neriel everywhere he went. Rowan could feel it, even if Neriel tried to hide it behind small smiles and polite words. The old alien worked in the tavern with slow patience, carrying dishes, sweeping floors, or wiping tables. He was gentle, humble, and always grateful. But Rowan noticed things others didn't. Neriel often flinched at loud sounds. He avoided windows when travelers passed by. And sometimes, late at night, Rowan heard him wake up gasping, as if from a nightmare. Rowan knew the signs of someone running from something or someone. Every evening, after closing the tavern, they would sit at a small table, sharing simple food. Rowan never asked questions at first. He waited until Neriel felt safe enough to speak. And slowly, very slowly, the alien began to talk. Not everything, just fragments. Pieces of a story heavy with pain. One night, as the wind howled outside and the fire crackled softly, Neriel stared into his cup of warm tea for a long time before whispering, I was a healer. Rowan set his bread down. A healer? Neriel nodded. Yes, long ago. In my city, my people valued healers. We were trained to mend wounds, treat illness, calm the mind. But I grew old. My hands became weak. My mind tired. I could no longer work as fast as the young healers. His eyes lowered. And so, the city council dismissed me. Rowan frowned. Just like that. In my world, age is seen as burden. Useless weight. Neriel's voice trembled. They expected me to go to the home of rest, a place for old ones. But I did not want to spend my last years alone, forgotten. What did you do? Rowan asked. I refused, Neriel said. I wanted freedom. I wanted to see the world, even if only for a little while. He clasped his thin hands tightly, but the council did not allow it. The old ones must obey. He swallowed. So I ran away. Rowan leaned forward. And now they're looking for you. Neriel nodded slowly. Yes. To take me back. Rowan tried to understand. But why is that dangerous? Neriel closed his eyes. The home of rest is not a place of peace, he whispered. It is a place where old ones vanish quietly. Not through kindness. Through efficiency. Rowan's chest tightened. That sounds like... Yes, Neriel whispered. A slow end. A clean end. Hidden from the world. Rowan felt his hands curl into fists. That's not right. Neriel gave a sad smile. It is our way. But I could not accept it. I wish to see stars one last time. I wish to meet others to help if I could, even if my hands shake. Rowan took a deep breath, trying to calm the anger rising in him. He understood now why Neriel feared being found, why he avoided windows, why he looked over his shoulder whenever footsteps echoed outside. He wasn't running from crime. He was running from cruelty disguised as tradition. Thank you for trusting me, Rowan said softly. Neriel bowed his head. You deserve the truth. The next morning, as Rowan set up the tavern, he noticed Neriel standing by the window, watching the sunrise. His silver skin glowed faintly in the golden light. He looked peaceful, almost young again. But Rowan also noticed how Neriel's eyes followed every traveler who walked by. The fear was still there. At noon, a group of merchants entered the tavern. One of them, a sharp-eyed woman, froze when she saw Neriel. You, she said quietly. I've seen you before. Neriel stiffened. Where? Rowan asked quickly. In the city, she said. He was on the notice boards. The council wants him returned. Rowan stepped between her and Neriel. He's done nothing wrong. She raised her hands. I didn't say he did. I'm just warning you. The council sent people out looking for him. More than a few. Neriel lowered his head. Rowan's stomach tightened. Thank you, he said to the merchant. She nodded and left with her group. Neriel sat down slowly, shaking. They will find me eventually. It is only a matter of time. Rowan sat beside him. We'll handle it when it comes. You should send me away, Neriel whispered. I am bringing danger to your door. Rowan shook his head firmly. You're staying. But... You're staying, Rowan repeated. No one deserves what they're trying to do to you. And I won't let them take you. Neriel closed his eyes tightly, overwhelmed. Rowan, why? Why help me so much? Rowan looked at him for a long moment. Because someone once helped me, he said quietly. When I was alone. When I had nothing. Someone gave me hope. And I survived because of it. Neriel looked at him with warm, trembling eyes. And now, Rowan finished. It's my turn. That night, when Rowan closed the tavern, he stood outside under the stars. The air was calm. Too calm. Something in the darkness felt off. A distant sound echoed on the road, like an engine. Slow. Heavy. Approaching. Rowan narrowed his eyes. Something or someone was coming. Inside, Neriel slept quietly, trusting Rowan more than anyone else in the world. But Rowan's heart pounded with a new worry. The hidden past was no longer hidden. And whatever came next, it would not be peaceful. ChatGPT can. The next morning began like any other, but Rowan felt something heavy in the air. It was the kind of feeling he'd learned to trust over the years, an instinct that whispered, be careful. Something is coming. The sun had just risen when he unlocked the tavern door and swept the floors, but even the quiet morning felt tense. Neriel sat in the corner, slowly sipping warm tea. He looked better than when he first arrived, less tired, less hollow, but fear still lived behind his eyes. Every time someone walked past the window, he glanced up quickly, as if expecting danger at any moment. Rowan tried to keep things normal. He cooked breakfast, arranged tables, and greeted customers with his usual calm voice. But halfway through the morning, two men entered the tavern, and everything changed. They were strangers, not from town. Their clothes were neat, their boots clean, and they carried themselves with the sharp alertness of people who didn't miss details. One had a small tablet in his hand. The other scanned the room with slow, calculating eyes. Rowan felt his muscles tighten. Neriel lowered his head instantly. The first man stepped forward. Good morning. This is Rowan's tavern, yes? That's right, Rowan replied carefully. The second man looked around. We're looking for someone. An elderly alien. Smooth silver skin, thin, walks slowly. Have you seen anyone like that? Neriel's hand shook. Rowan placed a steadying hand on the counter to hide his rising anger. Rowan cleared his throat. We get travelers sometimes. Lots of different people. Hard to remember them all. The first man smiled politely. Too politely. Oh, I think you'd remember this one. Rowan forced a casual shrug.
Sorry.
I haven't seen anyone like that recently. The second man stepped past him, studying tables and corners. Mind if we have a look around? I do, Rowan said firmly. Both men paused. This is my tavern, Rowan continued. You're welcome to order breakfast. But you don't get to search it. A long, cold silence followed. The men exchanged glances. The first man's smile tightened. No problem, the man said finally. We're just doing our job. The council wants the old alien returned for his own safety. Rowan felt anger strike his chest. Safety, that's what they call it? Locking him away to die quietly? But he kept his face calm. If that's the truth, then I hope you find him safely. Oh, we will, the second man said. He's old. He can't have gone far. Both men turned toward the door, but before leaving, the first man paused. And if you do see him, he said softly, let us know. The council rewards those who help bring order. Rowan didn't respond. The door closed behind them with a heavy thud. Neriel finally looked up, his voice trembling. They were from the council. I figured, Rowan said quietly. I am sorry, Neriel whispered. I bring trouble. I should run. I should. You're not going anywhere, Rowan said, sharper than he intended. He softened his voice. Neriel, listen. You're safe here. I won't let anyone drag you away. But they will come again, Neriel whispered. With more people. Rowan exhaled slowly. Then I'll be ready.
He meant it.
For the rest of the morning, Rowan watched the road carefully. Every time a traveler passed, he felt a flicker of worry in his chest. Neriel tried to help clean and carry dishes, but his hands shook too much, and Rowan gently told him to rest. Customers came and went, but the story of the two strangers spread quickly. Some people whispered, others frowned. A few asked questions Rowan refused to answer. By afternoon, 2 local farmers came into the tavern, clearly troubled. Rowan, one said quietly, we saw 2 more strangers at the edge of town. Big ones. Looked like guards. They're asking about a silver-skinned alien. Did you say anything? Rowan asked. Of course not, the farmer replied. You've been good to us for years. And that alien of yours, he doesn't seem harmful. Just scared. Rowan nodded in silent gratitude. Thanks for telling me. Be careful, the farmer said. Those strangers don't look friendly. When they left, Rowan felt the tension rising. It wasn't just 2 men now. It was more. And more would come after them. Neriel stood beside him, his voice quiet. It is happening faster than I expected. We'll figure something out, Rowan said. But inside, he was already thinking hard.
He needed a plan.
A way to protect Neriel. A way to keep the tavern safe. Near sunset, the door opened again. Rowan turned, expecting customers. But it wasn't customers. A woman in a long coat entered, her eyes sharp and alert. She walked straight to Rowan with purpose. Are you Rowan? She asked. Rowan nodded slowly. And you are? Someone who knows what the council really does with old aliens, she said quietly. Neriel froze. The woman looked at Neriel, not with suspicion, but with deep sympathy. I'm not here to take him, she whispered. I'm here to warn you. Rowan's heartbeat quickened. Warn us about what? Her voice dropped to a whisper. They're sending a retrieval unit. Not polite searchers. Not harmless investigators. A real team. Neriel's breath caught. They'll be here soon, the woman said. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tonight. Rowan stepped in front of Neriel instinctively. What do they want? To make sure he never speaks, she said. And to make sure no human helped him. A cold chill ran through Rowan. They're coming, the woman finished. And you should prepare. She turned and left before Rowan could ask another question. The tavern fell silent. Night settled over the town like a warning. Trouble wasn't just coming. It was almost here. The woman's warning stayed in Rowan's mind long after she disappeared into the dusk. As darkness slowly covered the town, Rowan locked the tavern doors and checked every window twice. The wooden building felt suddenly smaller, like the walls were holding their breath. Neriel sat at one of the empty tables, hands folded tightly. His silver skin seemed dimmer under the lantern light. "They are coming to silence me," Neriel whispered. Rowan poured 2 cups of warm tea and placed one in front of him.
Why?
"You said you were only a healer." Neriel hesitated, looking down. "I told you most of it, but not all." Rowan sat across from him, calm but firm. "Then tell me now. All of it. Before it's too late." Neriel closed his eyes. When he spoke again, his voice trembled. "I discovered something. A truth the council wanted hidden." Rowan leaned forward. "What truth?" Neriel's fingers tightened around his cup. "The home of rest," he said quietly, "is not only for the old. It is for anyone who asks too many questions." Rowan felt cold anger spread through him. "You mean they're killing the elderly and silencing others?" Neriel nodded slowly. "I treated many patients in my years as a healer. Some were sick, yes, but others were simply tired or in need of care. The council sent them to the home of rest. They never returned." His voice cracked. "So I followed the records. Quietly. Carefully. And I learned the truth. The old ones were not being healed. They were being erased." Rowan felt his stomach twist. "But why? Why go that far?" Neriel raised his eyes, full of pain. "Because they believe the old slow the progress of our species. They want only the strong, the young, the useful." Rowan clenched his jaw. "And they wanted you gone, because you learned the truth." "Yes," Neriel whispered. "I tried to speak to the council, but they threatened me. They said if I shared what I knew, they would remove me and destroy the evidence." He looked at Rowan with trembling eyes. "So I ran. And now they hunt me." Rowan stood up and paced beside the table. The tavern felt too quiet, too still. "So this isn't just about age," he said slowly. "This is about control." Neriel nodded. "And fear. Fear of their secrets being exposed." Rowan exhaled sharply. "Then we can't let them take you." "You cannot fight them," Neriel whispered. "They are powerful. They will send real fighters, not simple searchers." "I don't care how powerful they are," Rowan said. "You're staying safe." Neriel shook his head weakly. "I do not want you harmed for my sake." Rowan placed a hand on his shoulder. "Listen to me. You didn't deserve what they did to you. And I won't stand by while they try to erase you." Neriel's eyes glistened with emotion. "Rowan, you are kinder than anyone I have ever met." "Kindness isn't special," Rowan said softly. "It's just what people should be." Later that night, when the tavern was dark and quiet, Rowan carried blankets and set up a small resting place for Neriel behind the kitchen. The alien lay down stiffly, still shaking from fear and exhaustion. Rowan stayed nearby, sitting on an overturned crate. "You should sleep," Neriel whispered. "I'm not sleeping tonight," Rowan replied. "I need to watch the road." Neriel looked at him with worry. "You are risking too much." Rowan shook his head. "I'm doing what's right. There's a difference." Neriel slowly closed his eyes, trusting Rowan completely, something he had not done with anyone for years. Hours passed. The town was silent. The moonlight filtered weakly through the windows. Rowan watched the road from the darkened counter, listening to every sound. His heart beat steadily, ready for anything. Around midnight, a noise broke the stillness. Engines.
Slow. Heavy.
Multiple. Rowan stood up immediately. 3 dark shapes appeared at the far end of the road, vehicles moving without headlights, creeping toward the center of town like shadows with wheels. Rowan's breath caught. "They're here," he whispered to himself. He hurried to the back room and gently shook Neriel awake. Neriel opened his eyes, instantly alert. "What is it?" "Vehicles," Rowan said. 3. "Coming this way." Neriel sat up quickly. "We cannot face them." Rowan nodded. "We're not going to. We're going to be smart." He grabbed a small lantern and a heavy iron bar used for securing the back door. What are you doing? Neriel asked anxiously. Preparing, Rowan said. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a fighter. But he knew his tavern, every corner, every escape path, every hiding place. We'll use the cellar, Rowan said. No one will find you there unless they tear the whole building apart. Neriel's breathing quickened. Rowan, we do not have to do this. Rowan met his eyes with steady determination. Yes, he said. I do. Because Rowan had seen enough injustice in his life. Enough cruelty. Enough people turning away from suffering because it was easier than helping. He wasn't going to be one of those people. Not with Neriel.
Not now.
Come on, Rowan whispered. We don't have much time. Together, they moved toward the cellar door as the sound of engines grew louder, rolling into town, stopping right outside the tavern. The ground vibrated. Neriel froze. Rowan turned to him, whispering, This is where we make our stand. Outside, car doors opened. Boots hit the ground. The hunters had arrived. And Rowan was ready to protect the old alien who had trusted him with everything. The night was cold, and the wind outside carried the smell of dust and winter. Inside the tavern, warm light filled the wooden room. The few customers talked quietly, eating their food and drinking their tea. At the back table, the old alien sat alone, his eyes half closed. He looked tired, but also strangely calm. Mark wiped down the counter and watched him. For weeks now, Mark had secretly fed this old alien, giving him extra soup, warm bread, and a safe place to rest. Most people ignored the alien. Some feared him. But Mark saw something different, something gentle, maybe even broken. The alien never caused trouble. He only sat, ate slowly, thanked Mark, and left. Tonight, however, something felt strange. The old alien seemed tense. His eyes kept drifting toward the windows. His hands shook slightly each time he lifted his cup. Mark noticed at once. He walked over and lowered his voice. Are you okay? The alien looked up. His voice was soft and rough. They found me. Mark frowned. Who? The alien didn't answer. Instead, he looked toward the door as if expecting someone dangerous. Mark wanted to ask more, but before he could speak, the lights outside the tavern flickered. A loud sound rolled through the night. An engine. Then another one. The customers near the windows leaned forward to look. Two large black SUVs stopped right in front of the tavern. The engines turned off. Silence followed. A heavy, cold silence that wrapped itself around every person in the room. Mark's heart dropped. Everyone inside froze. Even the air felt still. The alien closed his eyes. It begins. The tavern door swung open with a sharp, metallic sound. 4 humans stepped inside. They wore black coats and boots polished like mirrors. Their faces were calm, too calm, like people who never worried, never hesitated. The customers quickly turned away, pretending not to stare. A young couple quietly put down their forks. An old man in the corner held his breath. Mark felt a chill run down his back, but he forced himself to stay steady behind the counter. The tallest man stepped forward. His voice was deep and steady. We're looking for someone. Mark didn't move.
Who?
The man's eyes, dark and cold, scanned the room slowly, table by table. When they reached the old alien in the back, the man's expression changed, very slightly, but enough to show he had found what he wanted. The old alien did not run. He simply sat quietly, watching them with tired eyes. Mark stepped forward before he even realized what he was doing. He's done nothing wrong. The tall man turned toward Mark. That is not your concern. Mark swallowed hard. He eats here. He bothers no one. The man ignored him and motioned to the others. 2 of them walked toward the alien. The alien finally stood, slowly, painfully. His legs shook. He looked old, fragile, too weak to defend himself. Yet there was something in his eyes, a deep sadness mixed with acceptance. As they reached him, the alien raised one trembling hand. I will go, but do not harm these people. They have been kind. The men said nothing. One of them reached for the alien's arm, but Mark stepped forward again. "Stop," he said. The entire tavern watched him with wide eyes. Some feared for him. Some admired him. The tall man walked toward the counter. He leaned in close to Mark. His voice became sharp like a knife. "You are interfering." Mark's chest tightened. Fear clawed at him, but he did not back away.
"He's old," Mark said.
"At least tell me why you're taking him." The man stared into Mark's eyes, as if deciding something. Then he spoke. "He is not what he seems." That was all. No explanation. No detail. The alien called out softly, "Mark, enough." Mark looked back at the alien. The old creature gave a small, sad smile. "You helped me when no one else did," he said. "Do not risk yourself now." Mark's throat tightened. It felt wrong to just let them take him. But he couldn't fight these men. Not alone. Not with guns probably hidden in their coats. The alien stepped toward the door. The men placed their hands on his arms, but he didn't resist. His movements were slow and heavy, like someone who had already accepted his fate long ago. Before leaving, the alien turned his head slightly and spoke to Mark in a low voice only he could hear. "Thank you for treating me as a person." Then he was led outside. The tavern remained dead silent. Everyone listened as the SUV's doors opened and closed. Engines roared. Gravel crunched under heavy tires. Then the vehicles drove away into the cold night. The moment they disappeared, the tavern's customers began whispering. What did they want with him?
Who were those people?
Was he dangerous? Mark stood frozen behind his counter, his heart still racing. He felt empty, hurt,
Angry.
and afraid. The old alien was gone. But Mark knew deep inside, this wasn't the end. Those men weren't random officers. They were something else. Something bigger. And the alien's final words kept repeating in Mark's mind. He is not what he seems. Mark wiped his hands on his apron, trying to steady himself. Whatever was coming next, it would be far more dangerous than anything he had ever faced in his quiet tavern life. The night after the SUVs took the old alien was the quietest night the tavern had ever known. Mark barely slept. He kept hearing the alien's tired voice, kept seeing the sadness in his eyes, kept replaying the moment the doors of the SUV closed. Morning came, but the heavy feeling in his chest stayed. Mark opened the tavern early, hoping work would distract him. But the silence inside felt wrong. The corner table where the old alien always sat looked painfully empty. The cup he used was still sitting on the shelf, as if waiting for him. Mark cleaned it slowly, unable to explain why his hands felt heavier than usual. By noon, the tavern had a few customers, but even they spoke in softer voices. Everyone had seen the black SUVs. Everyone had questions. But no one dared ask aloud. Mark was wiping the counter when the door suddenly opened. A woman entered. She wore a long black coat, the same kind as the men from last night, but she was alone. Her face was young, calm, and unreadable. Her eyes moved over the room with quiet sharpness. Mark felt his stomach tighten. Another one.
What do they want now?
She walked straight to the counter. "You're Mark, the tavern keeper?" He nodded. "I need to talk to you," she said. "Privately." Mark hesitated. Part of him wanted to kick her out. Part of him wanted answers. He led her to a small storage room behind the kitchen. She closed the door behind them. The woman took a breath, as if preparing herself. "I'm not here to threaten you," she said. "I'm here because the old one spoke your name." Mark blinked. "He's alive?"
Yes.
"But he is very weak." Mark felt a wave of relief, mixed with worry. "Why did you take him? He never harmed anyone." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she spoke. "He isn't just an old alien. He is a survivor of the Ian War." Mark froze. He had heard legends of that war, an ancient conflict between powerful species, long before humans reached the stars. "All sides thought he died," she continued. "But he escaped, injured and hunted for decades.
Many wanted him dead.
Others wanted what he knew." "What does he know?" Mark whispered. She shook her head. "Knowledge that could start a new war." Mark felt his blood run cold. "But he was gentle," Mark said. He barely had strength to walk. The woman's expression softened a little.
Yes.
He is not dangerous, but the information in his mind is. Entire governments would kill to control him. Mark leaned against the wall, trying to understand. So, you're protecting him? Trying to, she said quietly. But he refused to speak to anyone. For years, he stayed silent. She paused. Until last night. Mark's eyes widened. What did he say? The woman looked directly at him. He said, Mark is the only human who still sees me as a person. Bring him. Mark felt his heart drop. Bring me? Where? The woman opened the door. Follow me.
Mark didn't think.
He just moved. The tavern customers watched with surprise as he walked out with the woman. Outside, a single black SUV waited. The ride was quiet. Mark stared at his hands, wondering what he could possibly do to help. After 20 minutes, they reached a quiet building hidden behind tall trees. Inside, the halls were clean, bright, and cold. The woman led him to a room. The old alien was inside. He lay on a medical bed, breathing slowly. His eyes opened when Mark entered. A soft smile touched his lips. Mark, you came? Mark moved closer. I'm here. Are you okay? The alien shook his head slightly. I am dying.
Mark felt a sharp pain in his chest. No.
There must be something. There is nothing, the alien said gently. My body is old. My mind is tired. But I did not want to leave this world without telling you the truth. He lifted a trembling hand, and Mark took it. For many years I was hunted, the alien said. I had no friends, no family, no safety. I trusted no one.
His voice softened.
Until I met you. Mark swallowed hard. His eyes burned. You gave me food when I had none, the alien continued. You spoke to me with kindness. You never asked for anything. You reminded me that there is still good in this galaxy. Mark felt tears form. I just didn't want you to suffer alone. The alien smiled faintly. And that is why I chose you. Mark blinked. Chose me for what? The alien looked into his eyes. To carry what I cannot. The woman stepped forward. He wants to pass his final memory, one piece of knowledge, only to you. Before Mark could respond, the alien's hand glowed faintly. A warm light spread from his skin to Mark's fingers. It wasn't painful. It felt like someone showing him a lifetime of stars, battles, and worlds beyond understanding. Then the light faded. The alien closed his eyes. Thank you, Mark. His chest rose once more. Then slowly, gently it stopped. Mark stood frozen, holding the old alien's hand, feeling the weight of the galaxy settle inside him. The woman placed a hand on his shoulder. You should know, she said softly. What he gave you could change everything.
Mark didn't speak. He couldn't.
He simply looked down at the old alien, the friend he never expected, the stranger he fed, the being who trusted him more than anyone else. Outside, the sun was rising. A new day. A dangerous day. A day that began with a simple act of kindness inside a quiet human tavern. And now, Mark understood something deeply. Humanity was not done yet.